Good evening. Yeah, here to show my motor and controller working. So we got our Warp9 NetGain motor, and we have this controller. It's 120 volt, 400 amp controller. It is an older one, but it works. And the Warp9 motor. Mainly getting a good Warp9 motor and a decent controller for real cheap. And probably a pretty good combination here. Be better if it was a 600 amp controller, but and a higher voltage, but it'll do. So, just wanted to show that it works. So I have a Nissan Leaf battery pack that I'm running. That is right down there. The Calb SE LifePo batteries that are sitting underneath my little messy bench are not for sale. Those are still good batteries. I've got 4 of them over there for my 12 volt, and those work. They're good running batteries. So anyway, I'm selling the motor and the controller. The motor is hooked across here. Negative, positive. Motor positive and battery positive here, battery negative, and then motor negative here. And I have a 12 volt system for turning on the contactor. I have a resistor here for pre-charge. Curtis controls require pre-charge. And then the key switch right here would actually be hooked up to a small contactor, and it's run off of the main pack voltage, and you want it fused at like 0.5 amp. You don't want a lot of amperage going through this thing. But because of the wire, it's just a little bit anyway, and it's just enough to tell the controller. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just connecting it directly under here, which is the pack voltage. That just picks up the pack voltage for the controller, so the controller knows what the pack voltage is. And then for my key switch, I have my power here, and I'm just going to connect it here, so you'll hear the contactor go. Come on. There we go. So contactor's on. Just your basic 12 volt contactor will work for this kind of a setup here. For the AC motor stuff, you have to use a little different one, but this one works just fine. So everything's ready to go. There's a lot of other wires there. That's for the other controller underneath. So there's just very few wires to this thing. Key switch, 12 volt to your contactor. The 12 volt turns the contactor on with the key switch. And over in the corner here, I have the PB6 throttle pot here. So just so you know, Curtis controllers with their frequency causes the motor to whine up to a certain frequency, then it stops. That's normal. These old Curtis controllers were known for that. That's one of their things. Little annoying at a start, but it's not an issue actually. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Since I don't have a flywheel on here, it's going to be kind of hard to see the shaft spinning, but we're going to turn it on. You'll be able to hear it, and you'll hear the whine. So there's that whine, and the whine is actually coming from the motor, and it's the frequency. Get up to a certain point, and then it just goes away. Just like that. Pretty simple, pretty slick, and it works. Not much to it. So we're going to get this. We're going to get this down here. Get this down this way. Okay, so we're gonna try this again here. So hang on a second. Okay, didn't want cinematic. I don't know how it got on there. So anyway, we're gonna zoom into this guy, this bad boy here, and fire this up again. Bam. Okay. Controller's not much to look at. The nice thing about the NetGain motors is they also have a temperature switch right here. So you can have things set up to where if it gets to a certain temperature, it can shut down or cut back on the power if you have a smart controller. So like my synchromotive controller, that's sitting underneath, it has a function where I could take temperature, hook it up to the controller, and the controller will cut back power if the motor starts to get too hot. Not too likely that would happen. These motors do have internal fans in them, so you don't have to pump air to keep them cool. These motors are also advanced, so you can run higher voltages and not have any arcing problems. They'll run just fine with the lower voltages in the advanced mode, but 120 volts up, you want to have them advanced anyway. So NetGain does that automatically with their motors for their Warp9s. So all the Warp9s are advanced, pre-advanced for you. so you don't have to do it. But you can go back and actually turn it back if you wanted to, if that was your desire. But it just helps for higher voltage stuff, higher horsepower things. So anyway, that's what I have. I do have 2 motors for sale. This particular motor right here is serial number 30, and the motor in the ad is serial number 32. Both motors work equally well, and I'll be doing a test with the other motor connected to this controller tomorrow. So for now, this is what we got, and we will talk to you all later.